Welcome to the 11 Warriors show for Thursday, February 8th, 2024. Jason Priestis, he's Chris Lauderback. Good morning, Chris.
Good morning. How are you, my friend?
Doing well, man. Having a nice weather February. Don't want to make this show too much about the weather. I feel like we're already two old guys on here talking anyway. And
Muppets in the balcony,
we talk too much weather, man. We're going to have a certain demographic, and we want to reach some other younger folks too. But as far as February's goes, it's been an outstanding February so far.
Yeah, it's about to get real outstanding for me. The weather in Cayman Islands is really good, and I'll be there in a couple days for 10 days. So, yeah, I hope it's a blizzard here while I'm gone. No offense.
Where you leaving on? You hope it's a blizzard? Jeez, dude.
Yeah, well, because I want it to be.
I get it.
I won't be here. It's not so much wishing it on you. It's wishing it comes when I'm not here.
Right. I get it. Well, I hope that doesn't happen from my perspective. You're leaving Saturday, right?
Yeah. Saturday morning. Come back.
You want to drop your address since you're gone for 10 days? You want to drop your address so people?
I got someone staying here with the dogs.
Case the joint? Oh,
yeah,
okay. All right.
Yeah.
Not going to have anyone stealing your bourbon collection or anything while you're gone?
My dog's got high anxiety, so yeah, we bring someone in to stay at the house. And I like having somebody keep an eye on the crib anyway, to your point.
That's bougie, man. Got someone staying with the dog. I think most people just kennel that thing up, but you got someone.
It's the same price. I mean, it's the same price, yeah.
Not bad. Grammys Sunday night. I don't normally watch Grammys or any award show, but I did see the next morning the Tracy Chapman and Luke Combs and Fast Car, and holy cow. I'm of an age, and I know you are too, that song came out and it was big when it came out when we were younger. Mm-hmm. And I've always thought just a great song. And I'm so happy to see like this new generation of she's number one on iTunes right now for that song.
Yeah,
like a cool new generation getting what she was. And of course, a Cleveland product, it's great music. They come from Ohio. But just, wow, what a song. I've always loved it. Always loved her.
Some cross-pollination there, too, with doing it with that Luke Combs dude. I don't know much about him, but I know he's a country dude. So probably open a lot of, country. He's been playing that song, so they're probably already there. But the Grammys probably, was a next level thing for both of them in that regard. But yeah, that's a jam for sure. I always liked Give Me One Reason. Yeah. That was her other. She really only had, like some people say she's like one hit wonder. It was more like two hits. Yeah. She had a couple other minor ones, but Give Me One Reason, actually, I looked it up yesterday. It was actually higher on the charts.
Oh, nice.
At its highest point than Fast Car was, like 4 versus 6 or something like that.
Oh, back in the day?
Yeah, back in the day. Always thought, those were two cranks for sure. But that was cool. Just the whole, again, I don't know anything about Luke Combs, and I definitely don't care about country music, but you could tell he was moved and thought it was super cool that he was up there doing that live with her. Like that was genuine, It was like, cool. Yeah, that's what, that's what's good about music. It's like people want to argue so much about that kind of stuff, but that was a cool moment.
Yeah, holy cow! I'm doing this with Tracy Chapman kind of moment.
You
for
can just see like his grace. He's like looking over at her and stuff. It was cool. I think she enjoyed it too. She hasn't performed live in a long time, and making some money this week.
There was one angle of her smiling, caught her smile early in the song. Did you see that one when the audience kind of figured out who it was and just some real joy on her face? And,
you had to get some tingles. Yeah,
and it's cool too because most of the time when you have like an old artist charting at number one again, it's because they passed away.
Right?
Like David Bowie dies, and all of a sudden his stuff climbs iTunes charts, and for someone to do that without having to die, that's probably a good proposition for us and her. So love to see it, but we're here to talk football, man. Yesterday was National Signing Day, and it's so anticlimactic now, right? With early signing day, may change because I know a lot of coaches hate the December signing day, so we may get another February where things, February may return to being the big day. But I want to talk a bit about the class. Ohio State did have one guy come in outside of
one
early
signing,
one signing, one guy signed, Dominic Kirks. 4-star defensive end out of Northeast Ohio, number 24 DL on the class. Originally was going to Washington. It was going to be a Husky, but when Kalen DeBoer went to Bama, kind of opened the door for him to come into Ohio State. Third-ranked DL in the class here in the state, and just a guy that gets it. The Ohio guys worth their weight in gold, and if they can play good ball, then they get it. They grew up, they understand what it's all about. Some guys from out of class that get it too. I don't know if you know this, but James Peoples, did you know he was a giant Buckeye fan?
Yeah. His family, his mom and dad were both born in Ohio.
Yeah. I mean, they're calling him and FaceTiming him for recruiting check-ins, and he's got Ohio State posters on the wall, Ohio State pillows. So those are the guys that really get it. And obviously you got to go get guys that, have to learn to get it. Maybe, the Jeremiah Smiths and people like that don't grow up with Ohio, Michigan being the big thing in their backyard, and we'll get it soon enough.
You'll work with it. Yeah.
They will. They'll get it. But if you can get some guys that can play ball that already get it, that's a bonus. 21 kids in the class, 22 if you count Julian Sayin. Number 5 overall class per the composite ranking, number 3 according to 24/7. Wasn't a big class. Not many lately have been big classes, but 92.8 per prospect ranking, second highest in the nation behind Georgia's 93.61. And you just rip off some of these gems in this class. We mentioned Jeremiah Smith a minute ago, wide receiver. Quarterback Julian Sayin is a 5-star quarterback in the class. Edric Houston, a really highly rated defensive end. 2 guys from Ohio, Aaron Scott and Bryce West, cornerbacks from the state of Ohio, got the 2 best players in the state of Ohio, basically. Quarterback Aaron Nolan from Georgia, another 5-star guy. 5-star wideout Mylan Graham from Fort Wayne, Indiana area, and he's a guy where Ohio State was his first offer. Like, no one had even found this kid yet. And, Heartline's like, who else has offered you? What's going on? This, that. He's like, honestly, I don't have any other offers. And Heartline's like, well, here's your first official offer. We want you to be a Buckeye. Stuck with him the whole time. Didn't answer his phone when people were trying to flip him. Just talked about Peoples, the running back from San Antonio. Kind of an Army kid. I think parents have moved in because of some military stuff. So Ohio roots there, but San Antonio, a really, really good class. And, we're just talking about this class in the context of just the class. But when you couple it with some of the transfers that have come in, not counting Sand, because he can be considered part of this class because he's a 24 guy. But, you start to think about Quinshaw Judkins and Caleb Downs and some of these other guys. I mean, there are people out there in the Ohio State program that think that Caleb Downs and Jeremiah Smith are 2 of the better high school football players they've ever seen. And both of those guys are about to roll in. But a great class overall and something to be excited about.
Yeah, you got to feel good. Always some positions where you want to stack some guys. I think getting Kirks today was nice because across the Kirks is a defensive end, Houston's a defensive end, but you're still trying to stack guys in the defensive line there in the trenches. So getting him today, I think, is good from a depth perspective. I'm going to be counting on a bunch, immediately, knowing who came back, for this year. But yeah, I liked how they, kind of rallied and added another piece today. And yeah, some of these stars you talked about at skill spots. I mean, it's, just if they live up to even 80% of the hype, they're going to be all conference type people.
Absolutely. Which member of this class do you think will have the best Ohio State career when it's all said and done?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how you go against Jeremiah Smith. It's almost like you should say, hey, besides Jeremiah Smith, who would it be? But for a couple reasons. One, I mean, like you said, it's not hyperbole. Like, legit folks are saying, even non-Ohio State people are saying, this is the best, high school recruit, certainly best wideout they've seen in, a generation, in 25 years, whatever, that kind of thing, right? So also expecting that it's hard. You don't always play as a freshman. I don't care how good you are, right? Sometimes it comes down to the position and what you got in depth and that type of thing. And I think that they're expecting he's going to play a lot this year. So knowing that he's going to jumpstart this year immediately, knowing just, what the metrics say about this kid, I think it's hard to argue that he wouldn't have the inside track or be the leader in the clubhouse if you took a poll nationally of who would have the best Ohio State career out of these guys. I think it's got to be Jeremiah. I guess I'm assuming you would say Jeremiah. So if we couldn't, who would you say?
Oh man, that's a tough one because I was going to say Jeremiah, and for a lot of reasons, like you touched on some, but like he's already like come in and impressed everyone at Ohio State. They're like, this guy is, he's a freshman, but he's super mature, doesn't say a lot, handles his business, puts the work in. Like, and you get the talent and work ethic together. That's a really, really unbeatable combination. So the short answer is it's Jeremiah Smith. The long answer, if I can't pick Jeremiah Smith, I really like Mylan Graham a lot. I think he's going to be outstanding. It's hard to choose another wide receiver in the same class, though, because of so much. Some of those balls are going to go to Jeremiah. But I mean, Mylan's a great kid. Going to be amazing here. I'm going to say Bryce West, man. I really do. I think that a lot of people have Aaron Scott ranked higher in terms of prospects coming in at cornerback, and they're both Ohio guys. One's Glenville, one's from Springfield. But West, who's from Glenville, I think he's just a better player, man. And I don't know if the rankings reflect that in terms of like him being slightly – and they're both great. I'm not trying to knock Aaron Scott, but I think that I don't know if the rankings reflect the fact that maybe that West is a little bit better of a player. So I expect some big things for him. What about you, the non-Jeremiah Smith vote for who has the best career here?
Non-Jeremiah Smith, gosh, I mean, I feel like it's probably Sayan after that. We'll see what happens. It's a bit of a guess just because of the, you got to figure out between him and Noland who, who might be the guy next year if both stick around and how all that shakes out. But you think about, Saban wanted him. Dave really wanted him the first time around, that kind of thing. He's not missed very often in picking these guys in the film you see of this dude. And just, we talked about it a couple shows ago, but just cerebral, right? Smart kid, great family, a bunch of academic type folks, man, at every position, certainly, but certainly at quarterback, you've got to really be a student of the game, right? And think quick. That's as important as how strong your arm is and that kind of thing. So I don't know. I just get the feeling that he's got intangibles for days and smarts and all that kind of stuff to complement the physical traits. So he could be he could be the next great one for Ohio State at quarterback.
Yeah, really, really fast release with the wrist there. Can move a little bit in the pocket. Not a running quarterback, but can extend plays. Always looking downfield. Lot to like about him. Forgot to mention this, and this is only going to go into the Jeremiah Smith column some more. He's already gained 10 pounds since he's been at Ohio State.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so a little bit of the weight program, starting to bulk up a little bit, and good luck stopping this dude. I mean, you look at, I'm not saying he's quite there yet. Maybe he'll be in that stratosphere, but Calvin Johnson playing for Georgia Tech, and it's what a waste that guy had to play for Georgia Tech. You might be getting a Calvin Johnson type dude playing where they can actually utilize them, right? With Ohio State, with a coach and quarterbacks that can get them the ball. So I am so excited about that. What about a 3 or a 4-star member of the class that will surprise folks in a good way? Who you like?
Yeah, 4 stars are kind of tough just because, there's so many of them, right? I want to say James Peoples, but I feel like he's a top 125 guy, right?
That's true, but those guys aren't always locks, though.
No, they're not. But you still, if you're top 125, I think he was, number 5 or 6 or 7 running back or something like that. But I like him. I watched some tape on him recently. It's funny because, he's not a track star. He runs track, but as far as straight line speed, I think they said 12.5 in the 100 or something like that. That's, a lot faster than you and I are doing, but that's not that's, burning. But you see his burst through the hole. I know he's talked about his vision. He's talked about his hands. You get that all purpose feel. And knowing that just, I like those guys that can run between the tackles for sure. Don't get me wrong. But I really like when you think about Travion and what he can do, what Dobbins did when he was here, those guys that can run between the tackles. Yes. But man, can really hurt you on the edge. It can hurt you if they get, if out of the backfield as a pass catcher, that type of thing. I don't know. I have an affinity for those types of backs. And I think at 5'9", 200, something like that. He runs pretty angry for a dude that's not huge. Right. So I really like Peoples, but I think if you go for truly that more diamond in the rough type dude and look for a 3-star, which it's hard to even find those on the roster.
They don't have a lot of 3-stars in these classes these days.
But
either,
Marion Wooten, I think a lot of guys are high on him. Kind of like Thurman, right? Jelani Thurman, you think about just the physical tools and that kind of thing. I wonder if in a couple years, could Witten be one of those guys too, where you're it's got all the, got the physical tools and whatnot. It's just a matter of, polish and whatnot. So I would love to see that happen, especially knowing Ohio State's been a little bit on a run where, Garrett Stover caught a lot of passes as a tight end, but blocking tight end's been hard to come by lately. So yeah, wondering if, down the line, not next year, maybe not even the year after that, but could he be someone down the line that develops in a player that you're glad stuck around if that, indeed turns out to be the case.
Yeah, absolutely. In Ohio State, they want the tight ends to block, but also, they have an opportunity because you watch film and you'll see 3 guys from the other defensive backfield covering 2 Ohio State receivers on one side of the field, 2 guys on the other side doubling up Marv. Yeah. And then the only guy getting one-on-one coverage is the tight end. So they want him to block first, but man, you could almost sell that as in recruiting as, hey, you're going to have opportunities. You may be the only single covered guy on a lot of pass plays on this team. So when it comes to you're going to have to make a play, but Witten can catch. He's a violent blocker. He does a lot of things really well. For me, man, I like Peyton Pierce, linebacker from Texas, wrestling background. I'm biased. I think wrestlers make good football players because they understand body leverage and weight and that kind of stuff. I also like Ian Moore, man. Lineman.
I almost said Moore, actually.
Yeah, man. He's a dude, man. Just wanted to come here. Another guy that shut down his recruiting once he got the offer he wanted. Really strong, really violent with his feet. Watch his tape. He's just decking dudes left and right. And, just seems like a guy that wants to come in and work. And those are the guys you want. So excited to see, what we get from him in the future. Ryan Day did say that, no update on Bill O'Brien, who is the OC and quarterbacks coach for the moment, but is one of 2 finalists at Boston College. Big pull for him. He's from that region. He has his son getting care up there. There's a lot of good reasons why he might go there. And I get it, man. I personally like, there's a lot of pros to Ohio State. You have some security. You have a decent salary. You get to work with world-class athletes. You get to win more games than you lose. And that may not always be the case at Boston College. But, these guys you don't get in this industry if you don't think you can run your own ship. So I understand it. But right now he's down to one of 2 finalists for the position. Do not be, I don't think any Ohio State fan right now would be surprised to lose him. And in Ohio, Ryan Day would have to go replace that hire. But no update there. But Day did, talk a little bit about giving up play calling and why he thought it was important. And here's what he had to say.
That is an ideal situation moving forward. I know that it has to happen. There's so much that's going on right now in college football. Do I want to? No, I don't. I love the football part of it. I love calling plays. I love being in there. But, I'm getting pulled out, and I'm just not, on a Wednesday night, thinking about what to call on, 3rd and 4 on the 21-yard line, in the third quarter of a game. Like, those are all the things you rehearse in your mind, and it takes a lot of work. And I know that my energy and time and all that stuff needs to be in other areas. And especially with everything going on right now across the board, just with the team and the portal and NIL and just all those types of things. So I know that's the right thing to do.
I like that answer because I think it shows really good, introspection on himself, like understanding that, man, he really likes that aspect of the football. And I would love it too. Like we like playing Madden. You like dialing up plays. Right. I get it. Especially as a QB coach, I would love to call plays. But he understands that it's his life's a little different now, in his role and all of his obligations. And I like the example, he gave out where, on Wednesday night, he's not able to think about what to do on 3rd and 4 on the 21-yard line, but someone else you're paying could and could devote time to thinking that. So that was a good answer. We'll wait to be seen how it kind of plays out because, as we all know, that there will be some headsets worn, and he, of course, will have veto and get to chime in. But to me, it's just getting another guy, whether it's O'Brien or someone else with experience, able to put game plans together, able to come up with ideas for second half adjustments, and just, another mind in the room. Like if you're trying to do anything in life, the more smart guys you have in one room, or women, not to say it's just guys, but the more smart people you have in one room, the better your outcome is going to be.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Without a doubt. I appreciated the honesty. And, he's like, hey, do you give up? Do you want to? No, I don't. Like he definitely doesn't want to. But he understands the big picture. And look, he understood it before. You and I talked about it on the radio show a while back of, when he first said he wanted to do it, that's fine, but it just wasn't the right scenario. He didn't have an offensive coordinator to turn it into. He had a new first-year starting quarterback. Like it just, the stars did not align, right?
Right. That's good.
Now he's got a situation where he's got a veteran quarterback, assuming that it's Will Howard. He, at the moment, has a very experienced offensive coordinator that he went out, that's exactly what he was looking for. And if he's got to replace him, at least it sounds like he's going out of his way to say today, like he's going to replace Bill O'Brien with someone like Bill O'Brien, someone, again, probably not an up and comer, right? That's just not where you want that. That's not what you want right now. You need someone that he can trust, that's got some miles on the odometer, that can run it. They can still pitch in. You can still do those things. Like they said, they're not changing the terminology and this and that and the other, but they do want those other minds, that other viewpoint, those ideas, that type of thing. And for all the reasons that you said, right? It's dumb not to do that. So, but I think just him, not just recognizing, but acting on, hey, this isn't the NFL. In the NFL, he could be Shanahan. He can call the plays and he can be the head coach. But when you got transfer portal and NIL and recruiting and whatever else, you can't do that.
Yeah.
You just can't.
He's a fundraiser right now. It's part of his job. And it wasn't part of the job for a college football coach 4 years ago. Other news, there's an open assistant spot on the staff. You remember in the offseason or since the bowl game, Perry Eliano left. Then you had, who else left? Parker Fleming, the special teams coach, left. And then Corey Dennis, the quarterbacks coach, who recently was hired at Utah as an analyst. Hope for nice things for him out there. So they brought in Matt Guerrero, safeties coach, and you brought in Bill O'Brien, who, again, will either be here or he'll be replaced. But that still leaves one open spot. And here's what Day had to say about his thoughts there about how he might place someone in that role, what that role would be.
We have some flexibility there. We've had multiple conversations. I think we can go in a couple different directions, but we're still not ready to make a decision there yet. Certainly have talked to people, and probably about a week away there.
Interesting. Nothing given away there, really. Has options. I think he's being sincere when he said, could go a few different ways. I mean, obviously they could hire another special teams coach, and I know some fans don't like that idea, and it may be more of a function of the guy that was in the role than the actual role, because like Georgia does not have a special teams coach.
Right.
Alabama and Michigan do. So, I mean, there's no right answer. I mean, Michigan's special teams were outstanding the last 2 years. So if you got a guy that's killing it in a special teams coach, they're worth their weight as gold. If you have a guy at special teams coach who's not performing, then it's easy to say, what are we doing? Why is this guy? Yeah. Why is this guy coaching? Why don't we have another defensive line coach or a linebacker coach? And we'll have to see what shakes out. I know one possibility is maybe elevating a guy like James Laurinaitis at linebacker coach. And he was on the road. He got Ohio State's down a coach, so he got to go out on the road and do a little recruiting and seemed to really enjoy it, man. It seemed like something he really liked. And from OSU's perspective, it was, let's see if you like this, James. Go out there and go in the homes and talk to these kids and their families and see if you liked it. And by all accounts, he really did.
Yeah, I was going to say, but everything I've seen is that, he's thriving in that role. This is interesting, though, because I don't know. Part of me is like, if you're going to do Laurinaitis, then do it. I could see maybe a little bit, hey, get him on the road, like what you just said, but I feel like you're going to know that pretty damn quickly, right? Like it is or it isn't kind of thing. And I get the sense that it is, that he does like it, and he would be very good at it if he's afforded that opportunity. Part of me, though, just keeps wondering, because they haven't done it yet, like, is there anything cooking for like an assistant defensive line coach, because maybe Larry is almost at the finish line, and they know they've been negatively recruited in that aspect before. So if you get a guy in here now, not only are you maybe protecting those guys that are on the roster right now because they'll build relationships with a new guy and not want to hit the portal, but also as you're grooming those guys for the next class kind of thing. Is there something? I mean, I have no idea, but just makes me think the longer that it drags out on that side of the ball, is it maybe that, hey, maybe defensive line is where they want to look, because if you were going to do Laurinaitis, it feels like you already could have. Yeah,
we'll have to see what shakes out. I know Jason Taylor's a name that's been mentioned, defensive end or defensive line coach at Miami. Played all those years for the Dolphins. James would kill it on the recruiting trail, but let's be real, Jason Taylor would kill it on the recruiting trail. One guy has got Ohio State ties and knows the program. I think that's James's edge there, but I mean, that's a decision. Days. I mean, I'm not jealous of him for having to make that decision, because that's a tough one. If you potentially could pick one of those two guys, what's the move, man? What's the right call there, right?
Right. That's what he makes the big bucks. Figure it out. What's going to be the best thing to position him. And it feels like, at least for a year, if you did do that, you bring in a defensive line guy, and Larry does retire next year. And again, this is pure speculation on my part. Well, then you've got that defensive line coach again, maybe a hemorrhage, not losing some guys, and then boom, you've got an opening. So now James can be your linebacker coach with just one more year as grad assistant. And it's not like, I doubt he's rubbing nickels together. Right. So, everybody still wants to be valued and paid. So, don't get me wrong, but I don't know. I just wonder how much of that might materialize or not. I'm definitely not I get you the Parker Fleming stuff, but I don't really want to. I'm not dying for them to hire a special teams coach.
Yeah, I think there's enough bad taste in the mouth of the fans from the last guy that it would be a hard sell. But again, Bama has one. Or
you got an elite guy. Hey, maybe
Saban,
right?
Harbaugh had his son doing it, and their special teams were killer the last 2 years. So it's not a wrong answer. It's probably a tough sell right now, given when the role and the struggles the last couple of years. If they did hire a special teams guy, he would have to be so good at his job right away, or fans would be after his ass. So
I mean, all he would have to do is not really, really, really suck to be better than the last couple of years. So maybe there'd be a little bit more tolerance. But I hear you. I think it's just overall, folks are like, man, do we need one of those? Like we have one.
Yeah, I think that's going into it, man. People he's gonna have a short leash because they're like, hey, the last guy sucked. Why do we have a special teams coach? What are we doing here? So that's what a fan would say. I'm not personally saying that myself, but fans have certainly said things like that online. And if you don't believe me, you can go search for it. There are plenty of cases out there. Speaking of coaches, man, Tim Walton, goated, man. What a dude. Like, he was starting to rise, getting, Bryce West and Aaron Scott and some guys together and getting the classes going and coaching the units up. And the secondary played so much better last season than it did the year before. And they're blatting balls down, getting after stuff. But the run he's on right now for 2025 is insane. Number one cornerback and the prospect in the country, Naeem Offord, committed Sunday. Number 2 cornerback, Devin Sanchez, committed January 6th. Number 10 cornerback, Blake Woodby, committed way back in October. And then you got the number 4 cornerback, Dorian Brew, is a heavy, heavy OSU lean. So OSU's has a chance right now to bring home the top 2 cornerbacks, 3 of the top 4, and 4 of the top 10 cornerbacks in the class. In the NIL era, that's just simply unheard of, man. And what he's doing right now. I mean, and there's a safety out there too. That keep an eye on that kid for Maryland, because that's about to come home as well. What's he cooking? Like, I've heard him talk a few times. He's got something. He's got some sizzle. Remember when Halfley got here and everyone's like, man, this guy's got something. He's got Tim's got that as well. He can talk. He can relate to the guys. Really good dude. Really personable. I don't know, man. Good luck throwing on this defense in 3 years once he gets all the dudes in there he wants. Honestly, good luck throwing on them this year or next year or in 3 years. I can't see any time in the next 3 or 4 years where it's going to be easy to throw on this team.
Yeah, as long as he stays here. And we're talking about all these guys coming in. I mean, Jermaine Matthews is coming back on top of Igbenogson and Hancock and Burke that are your guys. I mean, Matthews is no slouch.
In there.
And then behind him, you've got all these other guys that are coming in, this year and next year.
Scott,
so, it's crazy. He clearly has a way of, getting through to these guys. And there's no way he's making promises because it's too deep. You can't promise that many guys to start. Yeah. I saw it. I think it was Burke. Yeah, it was Burke for sure. I don't know if it was a tweet or it was an interview, but he was talking about, hey, if you want to be the best, come to our cornerback room and be uncomfortable.
Yes,
because it's a competition every day. I was like, man, that is awesome, because that's not everybody is cut out for that, right? Like, not everybody is cut out for that. Where definitely nothing is promised, and every day, the job may be on the line, or your spot in the depth chart may be on the line. But you find those guys that can. I mean, that's what the whole iron sharpens iron, not just in the secondary room or the corner room, but hell, even these wide receivers we talked about. You can talk about Hartline versus Walton, but man, that plays against each other very nicely, knowing that those guys are matching up in practice all day long too. Like, you're getting better in practice.
Yeah, that's your pitch. I mean, it's helping Hartline because now he gets to go to wide receivers and say, do you want to face the country's best cornerbacks in practice or on national TV? What do you want to do? You want to get them every day, or you want to get them once a season? And it's funny because Hartline has been exalted for so long as this killer, and he still is amazing recruiter. But if you poll fans right now, I don't know, man. Walton might have a slight lead. I mean, he's got to lay down some tracks over a few years like Hartline's done.
Yeah, Walton's got the recency bias for sure. Long-term body of work. I mean, Hartline's been here a little longer, but God, whatever. Ryan Day's lucky to have both, and needs to hang on to them for as long as he can. Yeah,
we should honestly do NIL for the coaches. Keep those two around. Let's not do NIL. Well, let's do it for some players. Let's set aside some money for Tim Walton too. Can we get you a car, coach? Can we get you some dinners out? Do you want a $500 Jeff Ruby gift card? What can we do for you, coach?
Right,
we'll crowdfund that if coach wants it. We'll try to get it going.
What's interesting? I mean, this day and age too, we can celebrate it now, but it's a long way to the finish line. They're going to have to keep. These guys can say whatever they want, and it don't make them bad kids. They're going to have people in their ears constantly, right? Oh, yeah. So you're going to have to keep recruiting these dudes to see if you really can bring in 4 of the top 10 in the country at the same position.
Yeah.
I'm not saying I think they'll lose someone, but I'm just, finish line's a long way away also.
And we've lost guys before, and NIL makes things a big wild card because Alabama's not going to give up on offers from their backyard.
Right.
But I would rather have them committed here than somewhere else right now.
Yeah, than have them try to pull an upset later. Yeah, no doubt about it.
And I just got to trust Tim Walton, man. If he's going to close against whoever Caleb DeBoer has, I like Tim Walton in this one. Been a long time you can say that because for most of our adult lives, it's whoever Nick Saban has is probably going to win that battle. But now that's wide open, so it's a good time. Once again, shout out Nick Saban for stepping down. I saw yesterday he got added to ESPN's college football coverage crew. And that's incredible because I have this theory. I talked to someone about it recently, and they're like, "Oh, he's so grumpy, he would never be any good." I'm like, he's like Torts, man, like John Tortorella. When Tortorella's a coach, he's kind of cranky and whatever. Mm-hmm. But when he's not a coach and he's an analyst on TV, he's amazing. And Saban will be the same way.
I think Urban's the same cloth, right? Kind of no nonsense or whatever. Yeah. But Urban could be funny at times, but definitely insightful. I mean, if you're watching those pregame shows, I can't even watch a lot of it, but I feel like Urban's X's and O's, you might actually learn something.
Yeah, he's great. He's fantastic.
Saban's going to be the same way.
Yeah.
Like, halftime. Hey, what do you think you do in the second half? Like, he's going to have a point of view that's useful, not, well, you got to tell your guys you got to fight a little bit harder, like play with more force or whatever, like Holtman would say. Like,
like Torts, they don't want to answer questions about who's starting. They get to actually go out and have fun, and not deal with the stuff they don't like because,
I think it'd be good.
Get
smarter while you watch some of that halftime and pregame stuff instead of getting dumber. Yeah,
what a natural fit. Archie Griffin getting a statue at the Rose Bowl, and I came through and I'm like, that sounds like kind of a big deal, man. Like they're not putting it up in like at Eastmore High School. This is going to the Rose Bowl. One of 2 players to start 4 Rose Bowls. Will be the first Archie statue anywhere in the U.S. We have experience putting statues up, and I'm kind of we put the one up 11 Warriors did, thanks to a lot of our generous contributors. In Newcomerstown of Woody Hayes, and it was a great Alan Cottrell, the sculptor, the same guy that did the Woody at the WAC. Awesome
who gave the dedication?
Archie and Steve Hayes, Woody's son. And it's a great statue, and it was a good time putting that up. And I feel like we just got called out by the Rose Bowl because we slipped and we could have put an Archie one up. But this is the first Archie statue anywhere in the United States. A full-size replica is going to be given to Ohio State. It'll be, I guess, unveiled or dedicated in August. 5th statue on Rose Bowl property. And you look at some of these other names. Jackie Robinson. All right, that's a pretty big damn name. 99 Women's World Cup champs. Big name. They won it there. Keith Jackson, legendary coach, legendary broadcaster, I should say. Did many, many Rose Bowls. And then Terry Donahue, great coach. So really, really good company. And you talk about life goals. We all hope to do good things in life, but you get to like statue stage of life, you got a pretty good life.
Yeah. You get bronzed up. That's a pretty big moment. Especially 6-hour flight from home or whatever it is. All the way out there where you played a handful of games. But Archie's, his reach, his staying power, his everything. You talked about it, but when we did build the, Woody Hayes statue with the help of our, 11 Warriors readership and a lot of alumni and things like that. Archie was just, remember that? He's just, everybody's got 1,000 stories about that, but the most gracious dude. He signed every autograph on that track for the, however many thousand people were there. Like, just awesome dude. Chopped it up with us for a little bit beforehand. Just, nobody's obviously ever say a bad thing about him. He is the GOAT.
Yeah. Fantastic human, fantastic college running back as well. Ohio State women's basketball. We're not talking about the men because they fell under we made at the beginning of this show. We started these shows. We created the 600 rule where Holtman's teams had to be above 600 to have us talk about them. And they're 565 right now. So it could be a minute before we talk about maybe a new coach before we talk about him again, honestly. 565. Last place in the Big Ten right now, which is pretty cool. Did not see that in late December, but that's all we're going to say about them. We're going to talk about the OSU women, who honestly are just outstanding right now. 9 straight W's for them. Big win over number 10 Indiana on Sunday. Over 10K in attendance.
Pressed them into oblivion, man. That game was. I said last week, their press wasn't quite as frenetic and quite forced as many turnovers this year as last year, which was true. And then they made Indiana turnover 23 times or something like that.
Yeah, cranked them, man.
Insane number.
Number 5 in the AP poll for this team right now. It keeps rising. 19-3 overall. 10-1 in the Big Ten, tied with Iowa. This team is 4-2 against ranked teams this season. Just everything looks good about what they're doing. It's not like they're just getting wins and it may not last forever at Sunset State. They're a good team that does it the right way and wins games the right way. At Minnesota tonight, 9 p.m. on Peacock. Gophers aren't the toughest women's basketball team on earth, but Big Ten road games can be challenges. So hopefully McGuff gets out of there with another W and get to 20-3 overall. They do finish the season at Iowa or near the end of the season. That'll be a big one. But number 3 right now in bracketology, which is weird. If you're a number 5 team in the country, how are you a number 3 team in bracketology? But that should go up. That should go up. And,
that was the last update I saw on that. I think was Tuesday. So I'm pretty sure it was on the 6th. So still though. Whatever. Still lots of basketball to be played. Feel pretty good about what they're doing for sure. And like you said, went on the road, no easy one, but I doubt there'll be 20,000 screaming Gopher fans in there. So hopefully they can do it. I like the balance this year. Cody and JC are obviously the top dogs, but they got some other people that can get some stuff done. And McGuff's the dude, man. Just the total opposite of what you're seeing from the men's program.
For sure. And you look at the ceiling for a team like this, and I'm not going to pretend to be a women's basketball expert. I'm not, but I know good basketball when I see it, and I've seen this team play other good teams and look good against them, and so I'm kind of going to go off that. And I don't think a Final Four is like outside the realm of possibility, especially the number 5 team in the AP poll right now. Like, I think if you're looking for like a good run for this team, it's Final Four, maybe better. I mean, that's what you have to kind of set your sights on right now.
Yeah, at least it feels like that is, that's a realistic goal to have. It takes some luck and whatever else. I don't watch a ton of it either. I've definitely watched a lot more Ohio State this year, and I definitely try to catch Iowa whenever I can. And if LSU's on, I'll certainly tune in and cheer against Tammy Faye Baker. But other than that, I don't see a lot of it. But yeah, I feel like just, when you've got a defense like that, you've got a chance, right? Because if teams aren't ready for your pressure, you can do something. So yeah, I think, Final Four would be a lofty, like it would for any program. I mean, that's lofty for Kansas Jayhawks men's basketball. Like, that's hard to do, right? That's not a given. So if they get to the Final Four, that would be awesome. But hell, I think, McGuff would never say it, but I think you'd sign up for an Elite Eight or something like that. That's a nice deep run. Ohio State women's hoops doesn't reach the Elite Eight every year.
Absolutely not. One other bit of Ohio State news: Mike Hall killed it at Reese's Senior Bowl week. Did not participate in the game. That's because he was named
he was too good during the week. He's like, I put enough out there.
Yeah. You saw my practice tape. I'm not going to do the game, but voted top DL in practice by the offensive line on the voting there, and abused Trevor Keegan from Michigan several times. That was fun to see. But yeah, nice to see Mike going out with a bang here and putting some more practice film out there for the guys that make the decisions when it comes to the draft.
Yeah, smart move for him because he does have the ability to move up. And it's just, I don't know, it's crazy. What do you have, 1.5 sacks this year or something like that? And even as an interior defensive lineman, you're not expecting 10, but it's just crazy. Like, I feel like his talent is undeniable, but the production just, never measured up. So will it be something where it was the position he was playing? Because I do think, probably more of a 3-tech, but for him to be able to, it just seems like it could be like a Baron Brown and it's Jonathan Cooper, those things where they get to the next level and you see them start to break out a little bit, maybe where they're used more in a specialized role or that type of stuff. I feel like Mike Hall could be another one of those guys. Yeah,
like a lot of those guys you see that you kind of wonder how things weren't better at Ohio State when you see them in the NFL. It's largely position mismatch and they get to a better fit at the next level. Browning's a great example of someone that it's been like that. Other quick bits of news before we get out of here. SEC and Big Ten formed somewhat of an alliance, and it's to get ahead of this House versus NCAA hearing. And Pete Thamel from ESPN reported, I think yesterday, that they could be at the forefront of maybe settling and just getting that out of the way instead of having massive payment hit or a judgment hit the NCAA. It's important they be proactive. The NCAA has long been the opposite of proactive prior to Charlie Baker. And it's cost them, man. I mean, I think you have people right now, Ross Bjork coming into Ohio State, who obviously knows, Sankey and the guys in SEC land really well. They need to work together. There's 2 big conferences, the future potential AFC and NFC of whatever we end up with down the road. But like to see them being proactive, even if, the Big Ten's got kind of a lousy and duplicitous track record being alliance buddies. They were alliance to the Pac-10 or Pac-12 before they poached like all their good teams and they destroyed the conference.
Like, we don't want to be in the alliance anymore. We took
Greg Sankey, you're on notice, man. Be careful. The Big Ten calls you and asks to be an alliance. You'd be like, nope, I'm good. I'm fine. No, thank you. But yeah, we'll see things are a long way out. I think eventually, I don't know how soon or how far out it'll be, that there'll be employees, there'll be collective bargaining, but a lot of things have to happen first. And I know there was a National Labor Board ruling for Dartmouth basketball this week too. Kind of sent some thunder through the space, because if they're saying those guys are employees, and what's everyone else? They don't have scholarships, right? It's about to be. What do you think Ohio State players or Alabama players are if Dartmouth basketball guys are employees? So get used to change, buckle in. I know we've had a lot of it recently, and more's set to come. But I do think that once this settles, we'll finally get to a space where you'll have some people at the top, whether it's a commissioner of some sort. It won't be the NCAA. You'll have somebody that has rules. There'll be some standards, and I do think it's going to be bumpy, but I think eventually where we get will be a better place.
With the SEC and Big Ten getting at least out front, I think that helps. I mean, 80% of college football's relevancy probably is in those 2 conferences, right? And you can say whatever you want about Sankey, that their he gets stuff done, and their conference is it's top heavy, but it's elite. So I think, if those two can get on the same page, because that's the biggest problem with the NCAA and everything. Like, nobody can ever get a line to really do anything. You're all looking out for your own interests and, defensive strategies and all this other kind of stuff. So I think if those two can kind of, put the swords down a little bit in certain spots where it makes sense, then they can be at the forefront. Because, oh, by the way, whatever ends up happening in a future state, again, they're going to be, they're going to be 2/3, 80% of why it's relevant.
Right. I mean, you talk about the NCAA and this dysfunctional state that it's in. Like Tennessee, they kind of cracked down on Tennessee for flying a quarterback prospect before he committed and enrolled, because you're not allowed to give NIL benefits before players are enrolled on campus. You just simply can't. You can maybe discuss hype if you're a collective. You can discuss hypotheticals with them and say, based on some things in the past, a player of your caliber may have an opportunity to earn X, but you can't say, come to Ohio State, we're going to pay you. You can't do it. So it's a violation. So Tennessee flew a guy around, and then NCAA is like, hey, you can't do that. And then Tennessee's governor and everyone else gets in on the act. And Virginia's like, hey, we'll get in on it. And their governor joins in. And they're filing a lawsuit. And I saw that the temporary restraining order was it failed. So the rule stays in place. You're not allowed to fly people before they're committed or enrolled, I should say, not before they're enrolled. But the NCAA had to put out a statement. It's like, hey, the NCAA is just member institutions, and you guys are the ones complaining all the time how NIL is the Wild West, and we do something about it. And you're like, hey, Tennessee, go get them. It's like, what do you want, right? Do you want rules, or do you want Tennessee to be like the martyr that kind of bucks the trend and wins this, a David versus Goliath battle? So really tough spot. I mean, obviously the NCAA, terrible leadership. Mark Emmert will go down as probably one of the least effective administrators anywhere in the country in the last 50 years. If we're being honest, like the guy sucked. No, it's true. He totally sucked. And all this is a result of him. The reason the NIL is crazy is because of him. They could have got ahead of that. We could have had rules. We could have had like a tighter framework. Things are crazy because he sucked at his job, and he got paid a lot of money to suck at his job. So you will not be missed, Mark Emmert. We're glad you're gone. I hope you don't ever get a job with any responsibility again the rest of your life. I don't know. Is that too much?
I think that's a mic drop.
Last thing. Got to talk about this because Jim Harbaugh's out there talking crazy in the NFL, saying his quarterback, J.J. McCarthy, will be the number one quarterback off the board in the draft. What % chance of that happening do you give it?
Like 0, right? I mean,
Caleb Williams. I'm close to 0. I'm not a 0 guy, so I don't know if I can go.
Yeah, well, there's 0. At least 2 guys going before him, and maybe I think there's at least 3 going before him, right? I think he's the 4th. It seems like it's a pretty clear cut pecking order. Caleb Williams, Jaden Daniels, kind of in that upper tier, and then Drake May kind of on their heels a little bit, and then a little bit of space, and then McCarthy. I mean, I have seen mocks where McCarthy's going as high as 11 or 12, but those other guys are off the board in the top 5 or 6.
Yeah. I mean, I get it. He has to say it. It's his guy. I appreciate. If I was JJ, I'd appreciate that.
Yeah, I didn't hear the quote, but did he say like first off the board and say he'll be the best quarterback of this class?
Don't be surprised to see JJ taken as the first quarterback.
Okay, yeah, he's obviously huffing paint. Yeah, he's just stumping for his dude.
Like, you take him then if you think he's that good. Yeah, see what your current quarterback thinks.
He's better than Herbert.
Yeah, and I don't know. I don't think this is a really good draft class for quarterbacks. I know a lot of people say it's deep, but like Caleb is immature, and that's a red flag. It's Kyler 2.0 for me. Drake May's okay. Jaden's pretty good, but like, is he an Anthony Richardson, or can he really throw the ball and play high level offense? We'll have to wait and see. So I guess anything can happen, but I don't know, man. I don't see JJ McCarthy being QB1 in the draft, and I'm not going to go 0%. I'm going to go about 1% chance of that happening.
Okay, I feel comfortable with 0.
Going to stick with 0. I mean, crazier things have happened. Remember when CJ getting raked last year for being dumb, and he goes out there and lights.
Well, that'll happen to like 3. That'll have to happen to 3 other guys for McCarthy to pass him. I think so.
CJ basically just bankrupted a whole testing business. Good luck, S2, ever recovering from that. And I guess there's not to prolong this, but those guys from the S2 were the cognitive test were interviewed by the Wall Street Journal about 2 weeks ago. Did you see that interview?
Yeah.
They're like, well, there's edge cases. Like, a
lot of variables. Okay.
Yeah. Good luck. So, hey, we had a blast, man. A lot to talk to. Signing days in the wraps. We're Lady Buckeye fans or Ohio State women's basketball fans, big time right now. Make it out to go to a game if you can. We're off the Holtman wagon because they're 565, not close to 600, so we're not talking to them. And Tim Walton's been goated. All in all, a good show. Thanks for joining us. Stay with us. A lot in store here in the near future. Just getting warmed up. As always, take care of each other. Be good to each other. Thanks.